Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
You couldn't resist it. Mick here. Hello, welcome.
Welcome to the Pedal Shed.
Yes, welcome to the Pedal
Again.
Shed. We're fully ensconced. Housekeeping, number one, please subscribe below if you like this. Number two, if you really like it, please head to www.pedalshowstore.com and maybe think about buying a t-shirt, which kind of helps us keep doing this.
Very good.
Sales over. Let's get on to the interesting stuff.
So, one of the things that I love is all the requests that we get for different shows. So please keep those coming. And one of those requests asked us if we could show some different ways, not different ways, but good ways to get a good lead tone, a good solo tone, which I thought was really interesting because there's a lot of misconceptions out there. You know, certainly for me, when I was starting out, I had to go through a whole, do all the mistakes.
To be fair, I'm still going through it. So,
Right.
because it means so many different things to so many people, doesn't it? Solo tone.
Indeed. But I think we hit upon a really good analogy, euphemism, sexual innuendo, whatever you'd call it. What was it?
What's a good solo tone?
A good solo tone is
One that can be heard.
one that can be heard. I love that.
And that's a good place to begin because, by contrast, a not good solo tone is one that you can't hear. And I think...
And there are different reasons for both.
Yeah, and I guess that's some of the things we'll look at in this video. But I think we've probably all seen bands and we've probably all been in bands, I know I have, where the big moment arrives, there you are, everything else is going swimmingly well, you step on the mega gain pedal, you step on your huge delay, and all of a sudden, all of that work you've put in...
And you've been looking forward to this for weeks. Yeah. It's the one moment in the gig that you get to stand up and be counted and
it goes nowhere. And all the guitar players in the audience go...
Yeah. So...
Why? Because you can't hear it.
Exactly.
Just to finish that off.
Yeah. So there are different reasons for that. One, the first thing I want to talk about is gain. One of the misconceptions about solo sounds is that, well, when I step up for my soloist, I need a lot more gain. And guys, it just ain't true.
Well, it depends.
Okay. It absolutely depends. If I'm going to do this massive legato thing where my fingers are just going to be touching the sweet strings and...
Like we do all the time.
Like we do.
Me and you, we just don't do it on film. Yeah.
So all that stuff,
you
absolutely need a level of gain to make that work. Yeah? But... the idea that just adding gain is going to give you a good solo tone is not the case.
No, it's like the good old the Facebook meme, if anyone's seen that, where the kid is having explained to him that turning the gain knob up won't make him louder.
It's the Walking Dead one.
Is it?
Yeah. The gain's not a volume control, Carl.
And it's not, because it don't make you louder.
No.
What makes you louder is volume.
Exactly. One of the reasons I wanted to do this show is I saw someone play guitar and it reminded me of this very issue where his rhythm sound was great and then it was his turn to take a solo and he stepped on this button and it all went... The bottom end was brought up, the top end was brought up, the gain was brought up.
Yep.
And it just did not work.
Yeah.
So, gain. Let's have a look at... So first of all, what we're using today, the pedal board's going through the Hampstead. Mick is using his the new Victory.
Yeah.
Sheriff. Sounds great.
V44, the Sheriff, and Dan has got all the pedals going through the Hampstead, and for rhythm guitar duties, we've just got the good old straight into the amp for crunchy goodness to give a bit of context. So no pedals going through the Victory, it's just there for, and that's literally guitar, amp. Happy days.
Yeah, sounds lovely.
Does sound good. Sounds really good.
Okay, so Hampstead sounds like this.
Victory sounds like this. Sorry.
You express yourself, mate.
I just love it.
Yeah, that's really great.
P90,
Actually,
mahogany body.
This is a really interesting point to make. So, mahogany body, P90. The sort of sound that's going to give you is a very mid-focused sound. All right, so if I went to some sort of clean thing with a little bit of compression and some reverb, and you were to solo over this. Right.
Nice and cutting.
It's that mid-range just goes bang.
Funnily enough, I had a rock gig just recently, and I took this, an SG, and I took this in an SG, didn't take the Strat, and I played this pretty much for every single song except anything that required a neck pickup, which was about 2 songs in the set, obviously. And it was just the amount of punch and all of those frequencies that get you up and over the drums and the bass, hopefully demonstrated slightly there. You get the upper mids. Some people might call it a little bit nasally, but it's what gets you heard.
It's exactly what gets you heard.
Yeah.
There's like Dave Gregory has a 50s double cut that he uses all the time. Sensational sounding guitar.
Yeah.
And that is who's another junior style player from Mountain.
Leslie West.
Leslie West. So again, that sound is so articulate.
Yeah.
There's something about the mid-range of the old junior style guitars of the P90. So, really good example of starting with a guitar for that sort of sound that will absolutely cut through. But for a lot of gigs where you need a broad range of sounds, perhaps a single P90 guitar might not be the most appropriate.
No, I completely get that. Yeah, especially if it was a bluesier gig, then this guitar would come out for a song or two, and it would be the Strat all night. So and then but mid range. That's what it's all about.
Right. So here's an example. Let's have a look at the. This is the new Angry Charlie. So I'm going to dial in a sound that has all the mids, not all the mids, but a lot of the mids taken out.
Yeah.
Okay. So I believe.
While you're dialing that up, I'm going to grab a Strat and plug into the other input.
All right. Okay.
Because I think we're going to need to hear some single coils as well today, aren't we?
Absolutely. So I'm going to turn the gain up. Yep, make it quite distorted. Pull the mids out, turn the bottom end up, and make it a really massive sounding.
And we've chosen this version of the Angry Charlie specifically because it has that 3-band EQ, right?
Yes. Right. Fat, massive,
small amount of bottom end there.
The thing about this sort of sound, in a rhythm context, awesome. All day long with that. Really, really great. But in a solo context, it can get lost. Okay, let's hear that with a Strat now. Same sound.
Okay, and for those of you who've noticed, this is not my normal Strat. This is, it looks like a Jimi Hendrix Strat. It's before it was called a Jimi Hendrix Strat. It's Mexican, made in Mexico, about 2008, 68 special edition. But it's got the pickup the wrong way round, and they seem to have put this bit on upside down. I was having an argument with somebody about whether it affects string tension or not, which Q 58 million comments. It doesn't affect string tension, but it absolutely affects the way the guitar feels. Anyway, let's move along. So, what are we doing? Angry Charlie.
Angry Charlie.
And, by the way, nothing's modded yet on this, so the bridge pickup sounds awful because it doesn't have the tone control mode. Yeah. Need the old need that wired in for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So what I'll do.
You want me to play some rhythm?
If you want to play some rhythm.
And just to underline that, so the Strat is going through the pedals and the Hampstead. This guitar is going straight into the Victory with no effects at all.
Right.
What would you like me to play, Dan?
Just anything.
Yeah?
Quick 8 bars of anything.
8 bars of anything.
Yep.
Okay.
You heard then this absolutely glorious, thick, warm sound coming from you, and then this fizzy, in context, even though like this, it's when I'm by myself in the room, it's fat and massive, but in context over what you're doing, it was fizz, it was completely uninspiring.
For you?
For me,
Yeah.
absolutely, because I couldn't hear the guitar. I can't. All I'm hearing is this mess, and I'm trying to overcompensate. But now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some mids back in.
Yep.
Right. I'm going to take a bit of the bottom end out, and I'm going to turn the gain down. I'm going to turn the volume up to compensate for the gain being down. Okay, so. Turn the volume, bass down a bit. Mids up a bit.
Chalk and cheese different.
Totally
Now,
different
everyone in the
experience.
comments is going to go, hang on a minute, but you just turned it up. Maybe it went up a tiny bit, but actually the rise in the perceived volume is all to do with the mid-range.
All to do with those frequencies.
Yeah.
It was the mid-range, also the tightening up of the bottom end. Yeah, so the idea is, the first thing with the EQ, it means that those mid-ranges are going to sit really nicely, but also with the gain. What happens when the gain is turned down, it doesn't compress as much, so I can actually be more dynamic with the way I play. So that when if I hit a note quietly, I have a range from which I can, use my pick to control the dynamics of the note. Whereas if the gain is turned all the way up,
That's absolute. I hope that comes through on the audio, because that is absolutely night and day where I'm sat.
Yep.
The difference was massive.
So it's just something to be aware of. Yes, there are times when you're going to have lots of gain there, but with the gain control turned down, you will hear more of the guitar. You will be more expressive, so that when you dig in, the notes will pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's particularly relevant as well when you're stacking overdrives, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Because you can get into stacking an overdrive, and we talked about this in many videos, but either you're hitting the front of an overdrive to make it more saturated and gainy, which is a great thing for rhythm sounds particularly, or you're using another overdrive pedal afterwards in order to give you a boost, a lift.
Let's do that. Shall we?
Okay, and we'll do the difference between having like a gainy, just loads more gain and more volume.
Yeah, so what I'll do, I've got the Tube Screamer Mini here.
Yeah.
Right, I'll use that in conjunction with the Carpe Diem.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'll do, let me go here. So, Carpe Diem by itself.
It's such a cool sound.
It's incredible.
That is such a cool sound.
Incredible. Okay. This is with the Tube Screamer going into the Carpe Diem. Okay, so again, Tube Screamer by itself, I'm not going to use a lot of gain. So what I've done here, I've switched the position of the tube screamer. So this is the Carpe Diem by itself. This is the tube screamer going into the Carpe Diem. So all that happened there was the gain increased. Okay, it is tightening up things a little bit, but it's pushing the front end of the Carpe Diem more. For that bottom end.
Rolling off a bit of bottom end, yeah.
Bit bottom end,
yeah.
But the gain is going up. We're not getting any volume increase. The gain is going up.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, compressing more. However, if I go to this one now, this is with the tube screamer after the Carpe Diem.
Interesting. So we explored this a little bit in the Tube Screamers video, and if you haven't watched that, please watch it. Why so many people use Tube Screamers as boosters after overdrive pedals? Because they lop off that bottom end, push the mids, and all of a sudden you just get that kick. I mean, that was palpable. It felt like the guitar was about to just start feeding back, and all that nice stuff that we like.
Yep. So one more time, Tube Screamer into the Carpe Diem. Tube Screamer after the Carpe Diem.
Play some lead. What a massive difference.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
That's a topic that we've touched on in quite a lot of videos about gain stacking and all the rest of it, but yeah.
So, that little Tube Screamer Mini, man, is just fantastic. So that's, so basically what I'm doing there is I'm putting the boost after the overdrive pedal, but because of the shape of the Tube Screamer, it's tightening that bottom end. It is adding gain because there's gain in the circuit, but it's also letting the original signal go through. So it's mixing the original signal and some extra gain. But a great way to set up a solo sound.
Yeah.
Having that.
Which loop is the Angry Charlie in at the moment?
Angry Charlie is in loop 6.
So if you, so check this out then. If we were to put the Carpe Diem. So I did that purely because that's an example of how not to use an overdrive pedal after another overdrive pedal. And that's what we were talking about right at the beginning there, where you go, right, I'm going to step on the next pedal because the next pedal will surely make it louder, more gainy and all the rest of it. But actually, it's a cool sound in isolation in that it's like kind of fat and ridiculous and it just, makes you want to turn into rubber fingers and all the rest of it. But it...
But this is one of those situations.
But in a band,
exactly.
That every time the drummer hits his ride cymbal, which the drummer in the band I played with last weekend, he doesn't just use those normal sticks. He uses like those sticks, and when he hits the ride cymbal, he uses it like a crash. And so, you can't. If you had that sound there,
all those frequencies are gone.
Be gone.
Yeah.
Be absolutely gone.
I can remember being 17. Right, I had my heavy metal Strat, the HM Strats?
Yeah.
It was bright.
Was it pink?
Pink. Bright pink. And I had a Roland GP8 and a PV Bandit. And I was sitting in my bedroom and the sounds that I got were just outrageous. And I thought I was amazing. And then I took that rig and I played that rig with a band. And I didn't hear a single note I played.
Well, yeah.
So I took the bedroom sounds out and put them in with the band. It's just like...
We're teetering on the edge of a disparaging comment about digital multi-effects there, aren't we?
No, it wasn't, but that was not about the digital multi-effects.
Okay.
That was, no, absolutely, because the GP8 was great, because I did use the GP8 later when I was touring, and managed to dial in some fantastic sounds with it. It wasn't that, it was the fact that I sat there alone in my bedroom, and the way that I dialed in those sounds was this crazy, massive bottom end, and all the fizz and gain in the world, and by myself, it was epic. It really was. For a 17-year-old kid, wow, you know, it was amazing. But when I put it in the band context, I was sitting there scratching my head thinking, I've spent every penny I've had on this. You know, and it was my turn to go in there and, you know, Jack Butler can let you. Well, and, you know, I was stuffed.
Absolute opposite end to that. Back to that recent rock gig, you know, mahogany body guitar, P90, fairly aggressive. I think my first overdrive was probably the SL drive, Exotic SL drive. So not massively mid-boosted pedal. It's got quite a lot of highs and all the rest of it. But so that's a pretty strident sound, especially with this guitar. Clon on top of that.
Oh,
so you go for even more mid and even more treble, and you think actually in isolation that's not a very nice sound.
Yeah,
it's not the kind of sound where you go, oh, it's just so buttery and so lovely. But to get heard.
Yeah.
Have we made that point strongly enough, do you think?
I think that's been made strongly enough. So I just wanted to show you the Zen Drive, which is basically tonally, frequency-wise, it's in the similar ballpark as the Tube Screamer. Yep. Dumble style pedal. When we did the Dumble shootout, the Zen Drive was the one pedal we didn't have. Okay.
But and the one pedal that most people wanted to see because it's kind of the original in that world.
Yeah, for sure. And the great thing about the Zen Drive, it's voiced just beautifully for solos.
Yeah.
So if I go,
this is the new Love Pedal built one.
This is the new Love Pedal built one.
Yeah.
By Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
And so again, if we look at the Angry Charlie. And then we go to the Love Pedal. So you can hear that bottom end gets tightened up. It's got this really great voice control on it, so you can sort of sweep the mid-range. Not an incredible amount of gain, but it really is just...
You know what that reminds me of? When we went and did Dave Kilminster at the Albert Hall.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got that Les Paul Custom, and he steps on, he just plays that amazing, just huge sound. And that little envelope of mid frequencies there reminds me very much of that.
Have a go with the Strat, because I think you'll love it with the Strat.
Okay, so is it on?
It's on.
I'm not on. Can you fiddle with the mid thing?
Yep.
Just compare that with the Angry Charlie.
This is the Zen Drive into the Angry Charlie. And this is the Zen Drive after the Angry Charlie.
night and day, illustrating the same point again.
Yep. There we go. Very quickly, I'm going to touch on EQ.
Yep.
All right, so this is... An EQ pedal is a fantastic thing. We did a show on it back in the last series.
Yes, you do need a graphic EQ.
Yes, you do need a graphic equalizer. And so, again, we're just going to control... All I'm going to do with the EQ with this is just control the bottom end.
Right.
Okay? A really important thing about EQ pedals, you don't need to make these massive changes. One of the things Paul Stacey showed me with EQ when recording with him...
Oh, I can't reach.
There we go.
Bloody hell.
So
I was going to put this here so I can actually see it. Otherwise, we just forget about it, don't we?
Anyway, so one of the things Paul Stacey showed me with EQ is that just make really small changes to start with. You don't need to make these crazy big changes. Yep. So if we go to the Angry Charlie, I'll just turn the gain down a bit. If you want to play for us. So all I'm going to do now is just tickle the bottom end down a little bit. So don't forget, when you cut a frequency, you will need to compensate with the volume.
With volume, yeah. So let's go up a bit.
So if I just put it up a little bit, so turn, just tighten the bottom end down. You can see how slight that curve is there. Now if I go, this is without the EQ.
Yep, not much needs to be said about that. And again, I just underline the point that not much needs to be said about that. I'm going to say more. Just underline the point that in isolation, some of these sounds may not be 100% to your liking. You might prefer huge amounts of bottom end and, you know, a nice scoopy mid. But in the context of a band is where it really starts to make a difference.
Absolutely.
So it's all about the context, right?
Definitely. I want to have a quick talk about effects.
Yes.
Right. So we talked about gain structure, about EQ, about boosting, tightening the bottom end, how important the mids are. I want to have a look at using these sounds with effects. So a really great trick, and I did this at the start, the little thing that we did at the start, is I used a really short delay on top of the lead sound I had. So I'm going to use the Zen Drive sound again because I think it's just spectacular. So here is the Zen Drive. I'll turn the gain back up.
Works so well with a humbucker and that type of guitar.
Yep.
Blimey, because it just, yeah,
It's beautiful.
really does work exceptionally well.
I've got the 30 millisecond double tracker by our friend Mr. Robert Keeley.
Mm.
I love this pedal. I love this pedal specifically for this job.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the sound by itself. This is with the 30 milliseconds set to a double tracker. Okay, and it just gives this little like slap back thing behind the note. Here's the difference. You get the idea.
If any designers out there, it's the equivalent of a drop shadow.
Exactly.
It just picks the thing you want to see or hear.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah. And you'll hear with that, when we first started doing it, I was quite back in the mix. Yeah.
Yeah.
And all I did was add that little double tracking thing on there.
Yeah.
And it just.
And I'm guessing that would work as well if you were playing. I mean, not if you were playing at like crazy speed, which is good news for me and Dan. But if you were playing sort of semi quickly, which is about as quickly as either of us ever play,
Yeah.
that's going to work.
Oh yeah.
Whereas a long delay, we should demonstrate
we'll get to that.
maybe.
So
yeah.
I'll do some faster stuff with that.
Okay.
Anyway, you get the idea. It just takes all that stuff and just lifts it. Now, I had quite a lot of double tracking on there. I might have, I might have a little bit less, but that's to accentuate the idea, okay?
Get a long delay up and try and do the same thing.
Okay.
So if this is for anyone who's got to that point in the song and decides that what the thing to do now for your busy solo is to step on a long delay. How long's the delay? Okay, so I'm going to use that as a quarter note. So let's say you're playing there and you've tapped in your quarter note delay. We're using the Memory Man, by the way. And here we go. So this is what happens. What? I didn't know that he had that. I didn't know that was there. So
For good reason.
yeah. So that conversely, instead of that, do some of that.
Yes. So, absolutely, there has to be context to this sort of stuff. This is what I love about, so David Gilmour, David G, perfect example. When he uses a lot of effect.
Yeah.
His sound is very wet.
I don't think I've ever seen him tapping though.
No, exactly. Because he'll play one note and he leans into it. And it is an amazing thing. And he creates with that sound. You give that sound to someone who's going to play a lot of notes, and it is just a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess.
So
I've been that soldier.
a really good example, again, Andy Timmons.
Now, I'm just going to explain how the name drop horn works. The name drop horn doesn't work for David Gilmour.
Because we don't know him
Because we don't know him personally and we don't hang out with him.
Calls.
Yeah, we don't hang out with him. So no name drop horn for David Gilmour because there's no story attached. Andy Timmons, however,
We love Andy. He's just the best.
He is the best.
And an amazing thing about him with his delay, he has this wonderful dual, using the timeline, he set up this dual delay, and it mimics the way he uses his memory mans on different speeds. But what he does with an expression pedal, he sort of rides that expression pedal, and as he's doing a line, he'll bring the delay in, but then when he doesn't need that much delay, he'll sort of pull it back.
So if he's playing quickly, he'll
if
have
he
less
plays
delay.
quickly, he'll just sort of
What a great idea.
It is fantastic.
Little interjection there about what the correct plural for memory man is. You said memory mans. It might be memory men, but I think from this point forward it should be memory my.
Very good.
What do you
Very
reckon?
good. I love it.
Anyway,
Memory
yeah.
my.
So faster playing, shorter delay.
Yeah, it is just something to be aware of. There's no rules here, guys. We're just giving you some concepts.
Yeah. And hopefully some solutions to that time, again, right back to the head of the show, where you go for that big solo, or you're going for a solo, and you step on stuff thinking that it's going to improve things, and it doesn't. It just makes it worse.
Yeah. Another really good example of that is Reverb. Just talking about the delay and effect. If I did the same thing again and add a whole bunch of reverb, so here is the... It's a great sound.
It does sound good.
And then with the reverb, this is a lot of reverb.
More
all
cowbell.
Right? So do the same thing. I'm going to use the Zen Drive, and then I'll kick the reverb on, and then you'll see what happens with the Zen Drive.
Okay. Same. It's the same as the delay.
Same thing.
You know what it did sound like though? With loads of reverb on, and I was playing those chords, it sounded like Kossoff.
Really?
Little bit.
I'm done.
A little bit.
Dan is done.
Yeah.
Okay. But again, if I turn the delay down, I turn the reverb down, I turn a bit of the blend down with the delay, and I add the delay and reverb together.
Is that the Zen Drive?
That is the Zen Drive.
Now just switch the Angry Charlie in and do the same thing. Can that be done?
Of course it can be done. I can do anything.
Yeah, it didn't disappear as much as I thought it was going to disappear, but it was still further back in the mix than the Zen Drive.
Yeah. Quick 2 seconds. We've talked about gain tones and about rocking out, doing all this wonderful stuff. I just want to touch very briefly on compression.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so...
Might need a strap for this.
Yeah, I think you might need a strap for this. My philosophy is that a compressor is the overdrive pedal for your clean sound. Okay, boom. What does that even mean? What it means is it compresses the note. It reduces the dynamic level of the note without distorting the note, without clipping it the same way that an overdrive pedal does. Why is this really good? Because when you're playing clean, we have this initial attack. It goes up really quickly, and then it drops down away to nothing really quickly.
Like trying to play a solo on an acoustic guitar.
Exactly.
Plicky, 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 plick.
Plicky, 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 plick.
Yeah.
That's a perfect way to describe it. So, what I'm going to do, let me just... the Cali 76, and there are quite a few compressors out there that do this, but you know, the Cali 76 is my...
We like this.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. It has a separate mixer for your dry sound and then a separate mixer for your compressed sound, okay? So if that's my clean sound. If I throw the compressor on, so what it does is it takes that input signal and it just, whatever input it can get, it just keeps it up at that same rate. Why is this really good? Because if I'm playing something without the compressor on, with the compressor on,
Try that without.
yep.
Just that sustain, isn't it?
It's just the sustain.
Yeah.
So because it has the dry signal in there, your initial attack is all in, you know, it's all there.
Yeah.
But it just means that you can grab those notes and you can just hold them. So I love the compressor for the clean things. Why a lot of country guys use them, especially for the chicken picking type thing, because the compressor means that you don't have to have the most incredibly accurate right hand in the history of the world to make that stuff sound good. It brings everything up to a sort of an even level.
Yeah. Gives you a fighting chance.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
And again, compressor with a bit of reverb, a little bit of delay.
Just sustain, isn't it?
It's a beautiful
And
thing.
as we sort of alluded to earlier, it's a Strat's friend as well, because
Yeah.
you just get a chance, you know, with a clean sound.
That's it. There you go.
Yeah.
Please understand, guys, there is no rules here. These are just concepts that it really helps to understand.
Yeah. I think there's three things worth underlining. Maybe there are four or three, however many fingers I'm holding up. One, more gain doesn't make you louder. I mean, it's such a cliche to say it, but it's so true. If you've ever stacked overdrive pedals together and you think that stepping on the more gainy pedal is going to give you a more cutting audible lead sound. In most cases, it's not.
No, it just adds more compression.
However, a boost with a mid-hump with less gain,
Wonderful.
try that. EQ,
EQ, just watch the bottom end. Just be aware of it. When you go to step on the solo and you've got too much bottom end there, it's going to be difficult for you to be heard out the front. Tame that bottom end, a little bit of gain, as in
volume.
with the volume, with the EQ, and magical, wonderful things start to happen.
Yeah, and effects.
And effects, use them wisely. You know, just effects is all about context. A little bit of slapback can be awesome just to put you out of the mix.
Yeah,
You know?
the faster you play, stay away from the really, really big, long reverbs and delays.
Yeah.
Unless, you know, you're going for a super crazy specific effect. That's a different kettle of fish. But if you want to be heard clearly, stay away from the huge reverbs and delays with fast passages.
Yep.
I mean, it's pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
But it's mistakes. I know I've made them.
Definitely.
Because you think it's going to sound huge and it just sounds messy.
Very good. Okay. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. Please subscribe. Leave your comments. Let us know what you think. And I mean, I really enjoyed that. I thought it was great fun.
Yeah.
Great to be jamming. We'd be jamming. All right, guys. Take it easy. We'll see you next week.
Cheerio.
Cheers, guys. Bye.